Have you ever had a place that has lived in your imagination for more years than you can remember, but you never actually thought that you would go there? Lord Howe Island was that place for me. For many, many years I dreamed of what it might be like to go there. And last month I did. This is the story of what I found there and the paintings I made while I was there. Lord Howe Island sits out in the Tasman Sea about 400 miles or 600 kilometres from the coast of New South Wales. It's one of the most biodiverse places on Earth, and it's tiny. Just 7 miles or 11 kilometres long. And because of that, visitor numbers are strictly capped. At any one time, there can only be 400 people on the island, which means getting there requires a bit of planning, a bit of patience, and, if you're anything like me, a whole lot of waiting. I first learned about Lord Howe years ago. My father sailed there twice from Tasmania when I was a child. He came home with stories of a wild and remote place out in the middle of the ocean, battered by storms and populated by myriad species of birds and fish. Listening to his stories set a fire in me, and something about it just stayed with me. The coral reefs, the ancient volcanic peaks, the fact that it's one of those rare places on Earth that still feels genuinely wild and unhurried. I kept saying, one day. And then life, as it does, kept happening. The corporate world has a way of making one day feel very far away. But I'm not in that world anymore. And one of the gifts of this new life, this strange, uncertain, deeply joyful life that I'm building as an artist, is that one day has started becoming this year, this month, now. So when my best friend Karen suggested we go there over a year ago, back when I was still slaving away behind my desk in my corporate role, I jumped at the chance. Getting to Lord Howe is not a casual affair. There are only a handful of flights a week on very small planes. I think this is one of the smallest planes I've ever flown on, and luckily I'm not afraid of flying. I was beyond excited to go there. Beyond excited to finally be going to this place that I had wanted to go for so long. And then we came in over the lagoon, and my excitement grew because it was extraordinary. Even from the air you could see the coral, the colours of the water shifting from deep blue to that impossible turquoise. And I thought, yes, this is exactly what I imagined, and somehow even better. There are no traffic lights on Lord Howe Island and very few cars. Most people get around by bicycle. The pace of the island just slows you down the moment you arrive. And I was deeply grateful for that. We slipped into island time. The first night a massive storm blew up and the weather was pretty bleak. So we made our way over to Old Settlement where it was more sheltered for a picnic lunch. And I sat on the beach and drew. And just the colour of the water and these most gorgeous textures in the rocks And that's what this sketch was trying to capture. And then as I was sketching, it started to rain. And you can see, if you look closely, you can see there are areas where the rain has affected the watercolour. And that's the thing with plein air. You really have to go with the flow and accept what comes. While we were having our picnic, I put my sketchbook under the table to dry. And of course the wood hens are super friendly. They really have no fear of humans at all. You can see here there is actually a footprint of the wood hens that walked over the work. We hiked most days. The island has these extraordinary trails up through dense subtropical forest.
Hot and sweaty.
Up to the most spectacular views.
So we are up at the top and we climbed up. We actually started over here. We walked all the way down over here, across this beach, woo, and then up this hill. And now we're up at the top and we have the most amazing view in all directions. It really is absolutely magnificent.
There's something about being in a place like this that just works on you. The noise of everything else falls away and you actually start to hear yourself again.
Just look at this. Look how beautiful this is. It's just amazing. Amazing, amazing.
Mt Lidgebird and Mount Gower started to glow in the evening light, and I once again reached for my sketchbook and started to paint. And this really amazing light was glowing behind Mount Gower, and I just really wanted to capture the sunset. I feel like this one I pushed a little too dark, just trying to get the contrast between the dark brooding mountain and the clouds overhead, and then the glowing gold of the sunset. And then there was a little area that was just this bright pop of green at the base of the mountain. And I think with plein air, you're always just striving to capture the sensation of being there rather than really trying to get a traditional likeness or make some amazing work of art. It's not about that at all. It's about just trying to capture the sensation of being there. The Lagoon is the southernmost coral reef in the world. And swimming in it felt like being inside a painting. The colours, the fish, the coral were just unreal. I'd known from the moment I booked the trip that my plan was to paint as often as I could. Not polished, finished work, but plein air pieces that were made in that place that captured the light and the air and the sounds and the sensation of being there. And there was a small island in the lagoon called Rabbit Island, and it just used to glow. So the colours of the grasses and the rocks, and then there were these 2 pine trees that just sat on the top of it. So this was just capturing the colour of the water and the sensation of that island just floating out there in the middle of the lagoon. Our time on the island was starting to wind down, but there were still 2 places that I really wanted to paint. The first of these was Ned's Beach. I painted multiple times on Ned's Beach. It was hard to choose exactly what I would paint. Just setting up my materials in that place, I felt this very particular kind of nervous excitement that I've come to recognise as the feeling of something that matters. This is, I think, my favourite one from Lord Howe Island. I think in this one I finally started to loosen up. I just took some charcoal and made some very quick lines and then very sparsely laid down the colour. So the colours of the rocks on the shore and the ocean, and then the golden greens of the hills up above. I really like this. I really love it because you still have a sense of the place and yet it is quite abstracted. I'm really enjoying that there's this tension between what I'm trying to remember about the place and the gesture and the paint. Just being able to keep it more minimal, I think. And on that last day, as I rode my bike up to the very end of the island and watched the petrels wheeling overhead, I just painted. And I felt, I don't know, something completing itself. Like I'd carried this dream for a very long time, and now here I was on this headland doing exactly this. But I've been thinking about what it means to finally arrive somewhere that you've held in your imagination for such a long time. And how it's always richer and deeper and more amazing than you ever could have thought. Lord Howe Island was everything I hoped it would be, and painting there, making work in that place, that was the part I didn't know how much I needed until I did it. It reminded me why I made the choices I made, why I left the life I had, because these moments, these specific, irreplaceable moments were exactly what I was looking for and what I dreamed of from behind my corporate desk. If you've been carrying a one-day place of your own, I hope this nudges you a little closer to going, if you can. Take care, and bye for now.